Welcome, everyone. It's a great group here. We're very excited to see so many folks. And on behalf of our entire team, who everyone is listed on the slide, and you get to hear from many of us today, we are extremely excited to present to you the San Diego Mesa College Work-Based Learning and Employee Assistance Mapping. Go ahead, Olivia. So just for a quick reference, because we all know we try to keep track of what colleges are what and how big or how small or how wonderful or how amazing, which we all are. Here's a quick look at Mesa College. We currently actually have a head count of 20,600 students. You can see our demographic breakdown there, and it really is a reflection of our local population. As the leading college of equity and excellence, we have an intentional focus on our disproportionately impacted populations, such as our Dreamers, our African-American students, and LGBTQ. And we are designated as a Hispanic serving institution and have just been certified as a military-friendly college. So here we are. Next, please.
Thank you so much for that, Monica. And before we get into the meat of this presentation, we wanted to provide you all a quick snapshot of who we are. Everything we're going to speak about today really takes a village. There are a lot of folks behind the scenes, a lot of work getting done by a lot of people. We wanted to show you sort of how that looks like at Mesa. So we have this very robust team, half of which lives under student services. And that would be the Career Center team that you see here. And I want to thank everyone on this slide because they all helped with this presentation. Although they all won't be presenting today, they all helped with every aspect of this presentation. So thank you all. And many of them are here cheering us on. So thank you for that too. Anywho, so the Career Center piece lives under student services along with the Career Peer Ambassadors. The Career Peer Ambassador program wouldn't be possible, though, without the support of our wonderful Strong Workforce Dean, Monica Romero, and Strong Workforce program. So they sort of, live within career services, but really are made possible thanks to the support from our instructional services, work-based learning team under Monica. So it's two different worlds, I guess, within our college, but we make it work. We will definitely answer questions towards the end. So if you have any more questions about more details on how this looks, save those questions for the end. But we just wanted to show you like a quick snapshot. Next up will be Melanie.
Thank you, Claudia. And I am having some technical issues with my video, so I apologize. I'll be presenting without my video on. This next slide is a visual of the process map that we will be presenting on today. So as you can see, our map is more like a nice Olympic ring Venn diagram. We are the Olympians, by the way. And so we will discuss in more detail how we conduct our student and alumni engagement, our faculty engagement, and employer engagement. The center in this presentation is for employment and engagement assistance, helping students get jobs. So that's our focus in our presentation. We will cover a bit more on how all of our team that we just explained is under career and work-based learning, how we all play a role in connecting all of these dots and how these connections are made. So without further ado, we'll move on.
Hi everyone, my name is Raquel Sojner and I'm one of the career counselors and co-coordinators for Mesa College's Career Center. And I'm just going to give you a quick overview on what student engagement looks like when it comes to how a student first learns about career and work-based learning services and how they would then outreach for that support. So many students learn about our services through a variety of class presentations that were previously happening in person, but are now happening remotely with classes like personal growth, Black and Chicano studies, as well as many of our CTE classes. So Pavel and I actually will be presenting together to a tutoring class the first week of April and giving them a lot of the information that we usually do on work-based learning activities and events, as well as Career Center services and how they can make those appointments and get connected. So many students also learn about our services through our job board email list, or they may be referred to activities or events through faculty or staff on our campus. And then once a student finds out about our services through any of the previously mentioned avenues, they can then contact us to make an appointment with either a career counselor or internship coordinator through phone, email, or through our job board platform. And then once we are contacted, as a team, we really try to make the best determination of how we can meet that student's individual needs and how they can then be supported best through our career and work-based learning team and our network, really. So students can benefit possibly from first starting off with a career counselor and working on exploring their personality, maybe their values or interests, and get some guidance on how they can do some career research. Maybe some students know what they want to major in, but they don't know what types of careers they can pursue. And so it could be helpful to connect them with one of our work-based learning coordinators, or maybe introduce them to the concept of an employer panel they can attend where they can hear from industry professionals on what it's like to work in the field. Other students may know what kind of career or industry they're interested in, but they need some hands-on experience. And therefore we would want to connect them with Pavel and help them to explore possible internship opportunities in San Diego. So overall, it's really about us providing students a warm handoff between our teams and our team members in order to make sure that they're getting the wraparound services that we all provide to help them to accomplish that goal. So Pavel is going to now continue with an overview on student participation and completion.
Thank you so much, Raquel. You know, Mesa work-based learning and career services activities in general are tailored to support the student achievement, employability, equity, and social mobility, as well as increase their technical skills. So in these directions, our Olympians have access to a number of activities catered to achieve, support and learn. They are able to participate on all these appointments and events, starting from our major and career exploration and readiness appointment that they have the opportunity to meet one-on-one with our counselor, career counselors, or with work-based learning team. In addition, they also get a lot of support from our career peer ambassadors by meeting with them for resume preparation, review, or also workshops facilitated by them. In addition, they have the chance to join us for the long week career phase activity that bring a lot of employers. So it's another opportunity for them to connect, network, and of course, apply for those positions. They also have access to different employer panels an entire semester, not from different disciplines. And for the student internship program that is unique at Mesa that facilitate these, preparations, searching and application phases with your server. In addition, the students will also have a chance to explore, to go beyond and earn credit for any of the hands-on activities that they would like to participate, like which is via work experience, and also incorporating service learning into the classroom. So all of these activities are available for them year-round. And the way that we capture those data that is very important to evaluate our program, it's by completing all the counseling appointment outcome surveys. Our career peer ambassador pre and post services in all the contact they have with students, not only with the shop, but all the contacts that they have with the students. We also have the documentation BSRs, and of course, our work-based learning data collection point that we are making every year robust. So thank you. Now, the next term is for our faculty engagement.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Choi. I'm one of the work-based learning coordinators at Mesa. So in our process for engaging with faculty on work-based learning, we have three primary areas. First, faculty learns about work-based learning and our support services through our various outreach and informational tools, such as our Career Center and work-based learning websites. We also have brochures, flex professional development workshops. We present at department, program, and committee meetings too. We participate on campus-wide committees representing work-based learning, such as Perkins Committee and Guided Pathways Committee. By now, we also generated enough momentum in our work to have faculty referring other faculty to knock on our doors. So once they are at our doors for support for collaboration, this is where we meet with them to explore the needs and ideate work-based learning activities. Sometimes we have faculty who have been doing it for a very long time and know exactly what they want, which is great. Other times we have faculty who are not as knowledgeable or experienced, and they're requesting for a panel, but not sure how it ties into the course. So this is where a discussion is helpful in diving deeper into the curriculum and what the faculty wants the student to learn. We then introduce the continuum of work-based learning to ideate with them what type of activity may be best fit with the desired student learning outcomes. We also then co-create with the faculty on the reflection assignment that will support students to integrate their learning from their work-based learning activity to course objectives. Sometimes the faculty may decide on a standalone work-based learning activity, and other times, if the faculty drank the Kool-Aid, it may be a series of work-based learning activities scaffolded throughout the semester to appropriately prepare the students to engage in a higher order work-based learning activity. Also, there may be times when work-based learning and Career Center connect with each other and or other departments on campus to pool our resources and expertise to support the students. Finally, assessment and tracking are a very important component of our work. We use SARS tracking and an internal work-based learning tracking form, like Pavel mentioned, to capture data on our activities. Post-activity assessment is done with both the students and the faculty. Students are often asked to complete a survey. Sometimes we facilitate a class reflection session or organize a student showcase with the class in which students share their work-based learning projects and what they learned, which can sometimes produce great peer-to-peer learning moments. During our reflection with faculty, we discuss what worked and what didn't, review student data from surveys and assignments, and channel our shared learnings into improving the next iteration of activity. So the assessment activities also provide an opportunity for us to create more marketing materials such as infographics, service learning reflection booklet, and student videos of their experiences. In the next slide, I will briefly share examples of each major area of the process. Next slide, please, Olivia. Thank you. So as an example of how faculty learns about work-based learning, we held a professional development workshop last fall on service learning and Dr. Laura Rendon's Sente Presente pedagogy. It was led by 3 of our service learning faculty champions. They shared the ways in which they manifest the different aspects of themselves in the service learning work with students as healer, liberator, activist, artist, and humanitarian. As an example of supporting faculty in ideating work-based learning activities, Chris Sullivan from the English department wanted his English 101 ex-students to complete a civic engagement project. So when we looked at his student population, which were mostly freshman students, we realized that the students could use extra support and learn about who they are and what areas of concern they may want to engage in, as well as helping students to make direct connections on how improving the English skills can have positive effects in their personal and academic and professional life. So as a result, we organized 2 workshops, MBTI personality type in your career with our amazing career counselor, Raquel, whom you heard from earlier, and a workshop on I Can Do That with English with Antonio Alagon, a Dean of Instructional Services at our district. Finally, as an example of a student reflection of their work-based learning activity, we have a video with Grace Lee, who was a student in business, and she served as a student moderator for one of our Pathways to Entrepreneurship panel. In the video, Grace reflected on her experience and shared 3 tips. This video has been helpful in prepping new students to be our moderators. So now I'm going to pass the mic to Melanie, our employer engagement coordinator, to share about our employment engagement process.
Thanks, Caitlin. So we've given you an overview of our student outreach and our faculty outreach and engagement. And so now I'm going to talk about how, our employer engagement ties into all of that. We have, as a team, decided to have a similar definition of what employer engagement or employer outreach means to us. It's really to create the synergy between all of these partnerships, but it is to provide ongoing outreach with employers, community organizations, and industries that build mutually beneficial partnerships. The partnerships expand the number and quality of work-based learning opportunities that improve San Diego Mesa College students' career readiness and create a pipeline of qualified and diverse talent for the workforce. And I read that entire definition because it really is the foundation of what we do. Now, going into that, really quick on this model, what we're showing for foundation, our foundation, as we mentioned a little bit before with our intro, comes from a lot of factors and us working great as a team. But we value the data, as we've talked about some of the ways we collect data on our students and faculty. Student equity is a foundation for us in everything that we do. NACE, which is the National Association of College and Employers, we really try to model after their recommendations for career services and employer engagement. And of course, being funded and supported through Strong Workforce, that is a huge component of our foundation. And this isn't in there, but we also do consider, all the work with pathways that are going on within the community college and how that works. So when it comes to employer engagement, we mentioned that we have, this great team. And at the front end, when it comes to employers, they may access us through our career counselors, internship coordinators, work-based learning coordinators, or myself, who's the employer engagement coordinator. And in the back end and, all the magic that happens behind the scenes, we do rely on and are grateful for all the people that come through with career services, work-based learning staff, our strong workforce program committees on campus, our alumni affairs, our faculty advisory boards, strong workforce partnership, and other community organizations, and of course, regional directors who are here to support our engagement. And speaking of engagement, the way this happens is through our alumni affairs. We have a work-based learning champion program, which I'll talk a little bit more on the next slide, our website and other media, social media, our job network, which is our online job board, and career events, like we have given you some wonderful examples thus far. So next slide, please. So some examples with our employer outreach. First, I wanted to mention, we've really been holding value to having our engagement based on data. And in 2018, we started collecting data for employer engagement through a SWOT analysis. We put out an online survey for faculty as well as employers to collect information on what is most important to them when it comes to engaging with our students. And with that, we work really closely with our campus institutional research program and making sure that we are conducting our research appropriately and using this data to our best advantage. So with that, we can create marketing material and other outreach material. There's an example of a page from an employer engagement packet that we are creating with our Office of Communications that will be available electronically for employers on our website, as well as something once we return back to in-person business, we can give them printed copies. So once an employer is engaged with us, they can work with us in all these types of events that we mentioned, these student events or faculty interactions. An example, I have right here is a employer panel that we've had in the past. And this is, once we have them engaged, our plan is to keep them engaged. So in terms of continuing engagement and tracking progress, this slide that says certificate, this is part of that work-based learning champion program that I mentioned. We choose a student champion, a faculty champion, and of course, employer work-based learning champions. And what we've done is any employer that's worked directly with us for student programming received a signed by our college president certificate of appreciation that was mailed to them directly to show our appreciation for all the work that they've done in collaboration and partnership of support for our students. And we were pleasantly surprised to get such great feedback from so many of these employers that we sent this to, that they were acknowledged and that, of course, they were they mentioned that they were interested in continuing partnerships with us and felt that this was a great honor to be part of this program. And so I wanted to mention that we really do focus on equity, and a lot of what we do when we meet with employers is to have discussions on equity. A lot of employers are reaching out to us on their plans for more diversity and equity inclusion within their organizations. And as we move forward, we really are planning to make this a main part of our practice. And as you can see, there's a few quotes that we're sharing that came from employers who participated directly with work-based learning activities on campus. Thank you.
Unmuting is always good. Thank you, Melanie. So we do so much. It was hard to try to get this into just a few slides, and I thank all the presenters for being able to talk about each of those kind of 3 Olympian circles that were shown in our model at the beginning. And all of them mention the tracking, right? How do we track? So just to kind of give you a broad overview, a little bit more of our tracking on all this amazing work. We really do utilize existing systems, and we've developed a process to ensure not only that we collect the SG21 data required by the state, but we also collect data at a deeper level so we can assess the students that are participating in work-based learning, the types of work-based learning that is happening over time, and the effects of students' participation and involvement in their success, persistence, and completion in terms of work-based learning. At the student level, and some of this was mentioned previously, but just to summarize, at the student level, when a student actually has opportunity to independently engage in a work-based learning activity, because some of them do, and something that's not scheduled or provided by the college, we're in the process of developing a form for students to self-report their activities directly to the work-based learning office. The development is planned for summer 2021, and the long-term goal is to have an option in our student portals where students can report this information. As noted, when the work-based learning office provides and the Career Center provide an activity for the entire campus or for a certain group of students on campus, our office collects that data directly and records it into the campus solutions, which is our student systems for MIS reporting. When other work-based learning happens across the campus by other programs, committees, offices, and student clubs, which by the way, we love the fact that it's catching on and so many more folks are doing this, the person who's in charge of those events or there's activities records student attendance and provides that list again to the work-based learning office, and we in turn put it into our campus solutions system. The process is under development for full implementation this coming fall, and we're also investigating how we can include a work-based learning button in our event portal planning system. This is where all of our activities on campus are put into one system to provide all the support across the campus, and having work-based learning integrated into that will also ease in the data collection component. Then we have what happens in the classroom, right? When faculty include a work-based learning component in their classroom, we have 2 methods of reporting, at the course level and at the section level. At the course level, when work-based learning is a permanent part of the curriculum, it's in the course record of outline, the courses will eventually be hard-coded by the district for work-based learning tracking. That means all the students that are in it automatically get that work-based learning tracking, and depending on what type of experience they're having off the SG21 definitions grid, it's recorded in that manner. That process is implementing this is currently on hold and will be revisited in next spring. At the section level, however, when faculty have a planned work-based learning activity as part of their curriculum for all of their students enrolled in their course, we code the course at scheduled development. So the faculty and the chairs identify the type of activity or activities occurring in that particular section per the SG21 definition grid. And when the schedulers build the class, so we call it building a class, we code it with actually any type of work-based learning activity. We can code it with multiple activities. And that way it's already in the system, all the students get recorded, and that has actually begun with our summer 21 course planning. Sometimes work-based learning is an optional assignment for students in an enrolled section. And so the the method of tracking that is the instructors will report the name of the students who participate in that activity to the work-based learning office, and in turn, we'll put it into the system. We plan to begin this process in fall of 2021. This also is true for when work-based learning is added to a course. So the schedule's already been built, and then instructor says, oh, I'm going to add this into my course for all my students, or I'm going to add this into my course as an optional activity for students. Again, this is where the faculty report the names and IDs of the students who participated in those activities to the work-based learning office, and then we input it into the system. And all that just happens around the end of the term. We also mentioned too, when working with employers, how we're tracked. We have a work-based learning actual Google sheet that our coordinators complete when they interact with employers, and that keeps track of the types of engagement and also the employer contact information. For our students in employment, that's tracked through our online job board, both from student self-reporting and through the campus engagement with students, like our internship coordinator, Pavel, might record something in our system when we hear back from a student. And with all this, we do utilize, like I said, three different things: our Google Sheets for work-based learning coordinators, SARS Grid, which many of you are familiar with for collecting student information while we're out at work-based learning events, and then everything goes into our campus solution systems for the direct SG21 reporting. And I want to give a shout out to two people on the Zoom, Megan Bouquet, I'm sorry, and Karina Hernandez. Both of them actually do the work of inputting all this data. It is quite immense. Next slide, please. And so what does all that mean? Here is a great snapshot of our data from the last 19-20 year. We worked intensely with 89 faculty, and these are faculty that actually did work-based learning events. This wasn't folks that maybe just started talking about it and didn't have the time, or because the switch from COVID couldn't implement. We were involved in 53 departments and programs on campus, and had 53 different types of work-based learning activities. And there are some examples. You can see some career panel speakers events. And then our overall numbers for 18-19 and 19-20, our campus partners that we work with, you can see the employer connections that we've made, the number of events, and of course the number of students served. And what's really making me happy is that even though we hit COVID and some of our engagement had to go down, we did almost double the amount of students that had work-based learning interventions, activities, if you will, during the 19-20 year. Thank you. Claudia?
Thank you so much for that. So you've all just heard a lot of amazing things, really mostly strengths of all the work that is happening and that we're very proud of. We wanted to give you a quick snapshot of, through our lens, what we see as our strengths and challenges, other than some of the things you've already seen. So you've seen some of the great data collection efforts, our equity lens that we use through all our work, and really importantly, the amazing team that does all of this, right? We have an amazing team. We are very, very fortunate at Mesa College because we also have wonderful support from our leadership, from our, all the way to our executive level. We are really supported and feel supported throughout our campus. This work is really prevalent on our campus. We also work through our strong workforce committee for any of the big decisions and to involve additional voices, which really helps in any new processes or any new initiatives that we want to get off the ground. We of course have our regional support. And one of the strengths, but you'll see is also my next challenge here, is that career services and work-based learning live in different divisions. It's a strength because we are really expanded throughout more area, right? We are in 2 divisions. We have a lot more capacity and span that way. We could reach a lot of students. Our challenges at the same time, though, in some aspects is that we are separated, right? It would be a lot easier if we all reported to one entity, because when it comes to decision making and new things, luckily for us, we are really good at communicating with each other and we work really well together, which is key, but it can definitely pose itself as a challenge. We have grown so quickly and very vastly that one of the things that we are still challenged with and we work through is defining and sharing the work-based learning roles among the two areas, right? There's just a lot of overlap, but there's also, again, with the strength, we work really well together and it usually works, but as we continue to grow in the future, that will always be something we keep an eye out for. Another challenge is we still continue to see that there's still some perception that work-based learning is a CTE thing, right? So we are still doing a lot of that marketing, publicizing, and encouraging, especially with instructional faculty, that it is for all students, that it really truly can help all of our students. And as it was mentioned earlier, tying it to our guided pathways efforts has been one of the ways that we are trying to move past that sort of challenge. There is a lot of work that needs to get done, as you all saw today. And so also, as you saw, we are very large campus. So additional positions would definitely be helpful. We are definitely challenged in that area. One thing we didn't know in the slide that I showed you with our team is some of those positions are adjunct positions. And so we definitely could use more full-time support for this work to continue to get done at the level that it really needs to get done for the amount of students that we have on our campus. So with that, I will hand it back to Monica.
Thank you, Claudia. And also mention too that our staff positions that I mentioned, a number of them are part-time as well. So that's a challenge. So it's all over the place. So where are we going next? We are really excited now that we've got 2 years of data collected, that our IR office, our institutional research office, can really start to do some strong assessment of who our students are and looking at their completion, their success, being able to track them more longitudinally with the data that we have. There's a big piece with curriculum. Caitlin and I work together and work actually with Amrital. I don't know if she's here or not, but we've got to give a big shout out to her as well in getting our district curriculum processes discussed and starting to have those conversations with faculty when they revise their course record of outline, to start thinking about if they do include work-based learning currently, to make sure that the courses are coded that way in the core. And if they don't, and if they want to include it, how would they go about doing that? So there's a lot of work to be going on there, and the regional work-based learning training, we're looking forward to that for our faculty as well, including internal professional learning. As we mentioned, there's still this perception that work-based learning is focused just for CTE, and as Caitlin showed and highlighted well, it happens all over, and English is a big area on our campus that we have a wonderful service learning component. And some more strategic planning as we, as Claudia said, kind of define roles further as we grow, as new things come along. How do we integrate those into the work that we do? We're always looking to expand our partnerships across campus, not just with our classroom faculty, but also with our wraparound programs. We work closely with tutoring. We'd like to work more closely. We work well with our EOPS office, which houses our former foster youth, our formerly incarcerated, our Dreamer students. A lot of our first generation students are on Mosher programs. So we have a lot of intentional work with those populations and those programs to support the students. And of course, always expanding our industry involvement, getting more industries knowing about the programs we provide, and strengthening their input into places like our advisory boards, and of course into the classroom. So we've got a lot going on, and moving forward, we are extremely excited. So thank you. And next slide. Claudia, did you want to close it out, or did you want to?
Sure thing. This is the moment where we will take questions. I know we went a little over our time, but really do want to thank the region for allowing us to come here to show you what we've been up to. As Monica said, we're excited about our future. We are still learning. We are still moving in a direction of growth. So we hope what we shared with you today was helpful.
Thank you so much to the Mesa College team. So we definitely have a few minutes for questions. So if you have a question, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask away.
Will you be sharing the presentation after the fact? Will it be posted with the resources?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Suzanne. Never sure if no questions is a good or bad thing.
I think no questions is a Zoom thing, Monica. It's a Zoom thing. So I definitely had a couple of questions, but I don't want to take time away from the group. We will just to remind everyone that the plan moving forward is in the COPs. We'll take time to dive deeper into everybody's processes, right? And so if you need some time to craft or articulate your question, we definitely will have an opportunity to do that a couple of months from now. I had a question, and I think it's something that any of you please could answer. But, you know, Caitlin talked about working with faculty to assess like the appropriate level of activity, right? And so I'm just curious, like, what's that conversation like, right? Like, have you guys, based on like the work-based learning glossary, for example, with the A, B, and C, have you guys kind of like classified which types of courses would kind of fit within each of those sections? Like, how do you approach it?
Wow. I would say that the way how I approach it, I think this is kind of, it goes into our work as faculty members ourselves too, and that we have kind of your academic freedom and independence to kind of collaborate with faculty in different ways. And so I want, you know, I don't want to speak for on behalf of all work-based learning coordinators, but we bring different skill sets and lived experiences to our position and the way how we carry out our work. And so it's been interesting hearing from the other campuses, the way how they carry out the work pertains to their strengths, their skills, and also the faculty that they are supporting too. And so I want to be mindful of how our different approaches can bring about different types of conversations that we have with faculty. So just want to kind of say that. And then the other part is that we don't want to overload the faculty with too much information, like, bam, here is a whole 3-page of glossary. That's kind of really overwhelming for any faculty that just like, I want just to help my student to learn better. I don't have time to dig through 3 pages of glossary. And so what I like to do is to center the conversation on the faculty and ask them, do a kind of visioning process. And this is kind of my experience with a counseling background, in asking them as an open-ended question. 3 years from now, how do you want your student to remember your class? Knowing that students tend to forget 80% of their classroom experiences. So what is the number one thing you want your students to walk away remembering, having that deep impact? And usually work-based learning allows students to have that deeper impact, that they can gain skills that they carry on into the next academic class or their careers. And so usually that reframes the conversation from needing to identify a particular type to talking more about the goals that faculty wants to achieve for the students out of the class. And then from there, we look at what are the kind of deep, meaningful type of activities that can meet the goals. And so it's more of an overarching, open-ended conversation, specifically tailoring around what the faculty wants. And then we lend our work-based learning expertise in order to provide suggestion within the guidelines of the glossary.
Yeah, no, thank you for that description. I think, we've kind of run into this with like our K-12 work, right? We've run into it in other areas. It seems like, and you guys as practitioners are all well aware, it's like when we think of work-based learning, a lot of faculty just go, oh, we need internships, right? And so really it's like, how do you approach that discussion, right? And really frame it in a way to where we can support faculty to understand that there's so many experiences along the continuum, and that those experiences can build upon each other and help to establish some of those needed foundational skills, you know, and so I appreciate your take. And so I really was curious to see how you guys approach it. And I'm sure that, you know, each of the colleges probably have a different type of conversation, and maybe that'll be a future, once we get past demonstrations, maybe that'll be a future agenda item for us, right? Like, how do we really use all of these skills and all of these resources that we have to really help to, beyond the faculty PD and everything, to help support faculty to understand that continuum, right? And how to build in those experiences. So very good, thank you.
If I can add one more thing, Kevin, I'm sorry, I have to take off after this presentation to prepare for another presentation. But I also want to add that this is kind of where, as work-based learning coordinators, because we know the 21st century skills, the importance of them, and also the equity gaps that exist within our college and within the industry, this is where we can help to be, help the faculty to be more mindful of that, and that when we are helping to bring in guest speakers and to structure activities, that some of the faculty are very equity minded, but some of them, that's not within their kind of what they're thinking automatically with the students. And so this is where we can help faculty to bring more of that equity piece into their curriculum.
Awesome. Thank you, Caitlin. Chris, I think Caitlin looked ahead in our agenda because she's like framing our discussion, our next bullet point, right?
That's great.
So,
we can leave and then Caitlin can do that.
Yeah, maybe Caitlin will, if she didn't have to leave, she could facilitate our discussion, right? So I just wanted to take one final opportunity to thank the Mesa College team for sharing with us today and demonstrating their processes. Like I said, we look forward to that community of practice where we'll be able to dig in a little deeper. So to all of the attendees today, if you had questions that weren't addressed, I'm sure some of the Mesa folks will be around if you want to put them into the chat, but save them if not, so we can make sure that we address them in a couple of months when Mesa's turn comes around. So thank you again. If we were all in person, we'd give you a round of applause or whatever that might look like. So I guess we'll use our Zoom reactions to do that. So thank you.